you hear some more from him?
No face off. Yeah, but we had a few things to say back and forth on the table, and yeah, it was good. Look, we're gonna say things, he's gonna say things, but to be honest, yeah, to me, I respect him, and I think he respects me. But there's a lot of competitive nature too with both two guys that want to win. But I make a lot of sacrifices to catch that feeling again. And like I said to him, this is not really about the belt. I got all the belts at home. It's not about making money. This is about proving my legacy and doing it again and catching that feeling again in a place that I really created so much history.
George, Drew Tiger, do you consider this your second home since you won big here last time? And do you have any jitters coming back here to try and make another statement?
I do consider this my second home. You know, I've had two great wins here. I beat Mickey Bay here in 2019, Tifa Malopez 2022, and here we go again, Hitchins, obviously June 14th. So no jitters. Like I said, you know, there's no real pressure on me. I feel exactly the same I was for Lopez. There was really no pressure on me, and I get to be free and come in and do exactly what I love to do, and I love to fight.
Can I make a suggestion? Do you ring walk the Road Warrior, Mel Gibson?
Okay.
Throwing some gold.
Yeah,
Come on.
Yeah.
That's you're a
I'm
road
a road
warrior.
warrior, and I fight best when I'm a road warrior.
Yeah.
I fight best when I'm away from my comfort zone. I've only ever lost, of course, to Devin Haney Lomachenko in the comfort of fighting in Australia, fighting during the day at 1 o'clock because of the time difference with the American broadcast. Never lost anywhere outside of Australia. So I had great victories in America. I think 7 or 7-0 or 6-0 in the US. Fought all over the world, and you know, they're character building moments. And I've been here many times, and you know, this will be legacy again on June 14th. And June 14th, like I said to him, and kind of surprised him, June 14th is a good day because it's my birthday as well. So
Right.
Saquon Jones with the boxing voice. I actually was in Australia at Malcolm's Stadium and covering the fight for the boxing voice when he fought against Haney the first time. There seems to be a more, there's a transformation of maturity to you now after those two defeats in Lomachenko. Can you just walk us through, you know, how the brashness is almost gone and more like, you know, a desire to get back on top is now seems to be, you know, your new way of life, it seems like.
yeah, I'm very motivated. For me, I don't need to sit here and we saw with the Haney fight. You know, when you're champion and you've pulled off a big victory, and everybody is up your ass pretty much. Of course, you know, you're gonna start to grow, and that's how it was. He saw me calling him a rat and saying things that he should have not said, but that's you know, in the midst of the war, you know, things happen. But at this point in my career, you know, I'm driven by legacy, driven by catching that feeling, driven by you know, doing this for the love of the sport. It's not really anything else. You know, shocking the world again. It's a mature kambosos, a seasoned kambosos, a guy who has so much experience. And like I said to him, he's had 1 championship fight. I've had this going on to my 6th championship fight, 12 rounds after 12 rounds. So I feel good at this weight. Obviously my goal and my motivation is to become a 2-division champion, and June 14th, God willing, I will be victorious again.
Kambosos, AB Boxing News, you know, how do you feel at this weight at 140 pounds, and what did you take from the Lomachenko fight? Coming to this fight.
Yeah, I took from the Lomachenko fight that was 1 fight too long at 135, and I could see that looking back at it, Lomachenko, who's not the biggest guy in the world, was bigger than me. He looked thicker than me, and you could see that I had sucked myself down too much. And again, with that rehydration clause of 140, 145 for the IBF, that 10 pounds. You know, it's hard work. It's not easy where you make a weight the morning, obviously the day before the fight, and then that night we had to do another 10 pounds. Then we had to go fight 12 o'clock or 11:30. So you got to be up at like 7 a.m. getting ready to go fight a guy like Lomachenko. So yeah, look, I took a lot from them that fight, that lesson. Again, it's Lomachenko. This is an all-time great Hall of Famer, and I know my buddy Hitchins was trying to disrespect him and say that he's better than Lomachenko and Lomachenko ain't shit. And to me, Lomachenko is a Hall of Famer, all-time great, and I've got a lot of respect for him. So I learned a lot from that. But I feel fantastic at 140. My last fight against a very tough and dangerous guy who had just come in. Obviously, he was fit and ready. He was about to fight in 2 weeks. 15 knockouts out of 16 victories. Big puncher, strong, nothing to lose, no pressure, and gave me a good fight. But you could see how dynamic I was. I was very sharp, very explosive, until obviously the cut, clean shot kind of had me thinking, oops, this could affect the big fight. So yeah, we got through, touched the the water at 140, and here we are now again.
So your explosiveness, you feel that you carried up?
Well, when kambosos came to America and everyone was talking about him, obviously sparring Manny Pacquiao, and who's this guy? And people started to watch and they said 3-4 punch combinations in and out and moving, and then that kind of diminished. You start to pinpoint where did that go? Obviously had a hell of a fight with Lopez, but the older you get, the harder it is with weight. Slowly, that was diminishing, and I was less output. So now at 140, we saw it in my last fight, more output, more chances, not worried about taking a shot and coming back, and that was the old kambosos. So it's safe to say he's back. He's here.
Jay with Sportbox TV official. Actually, keeping on the topic of Pacquiao, what are your thoughts on his return? Actually,
yeah, it's surprising. Obviously, I know Manny very well. He's a true competitor. He's a guy that if you put something in his head, and obviously to create more history, he's a guy that's going to give everything and try his best. That's what Manny. One thing I always learned with Manny is give 110% and try your best no matter what. So yeah, he's going to give it his all. Again, you can't beat Father Time though. Father Time is hard, and it was very hard watching him fight Ugas. You could see it. And then watching the exhibition he had with the Korean guy or the Japanese guy in I think last year, it was hard to watch. I know Manny, I know the man that I was sparring. I love that guy. So, but again, he's a legend, and if he turns it on, he can still do it.
absolutely. And also, so the plans, if everything goes well against Hitchins, would be Tio. Now, seeing Tio's last fight, is that the same Tio that you fought, or are there differences in the fight game, and how do you think that you would do against him coming up after this?
Look, my mindset, of course, there are bigger plays here, but my mindset is on Hitchins. I can't sit there and speak about anyone else who I'm going to fight next. I'd be crazy to do that. Let him do that. Let him say he's going to fight this guy and that guy after kambosos. I'm focused on Hitchins, June 14th. After that, who knows? Who knows what's to happen? I might go back on my big boat and start a ferocious fishing vlog and catch big fish like you would have seen me doing. I might go do a UFC fight. Who knows?
What Tio was saying about him almost dying after the fight, does that sort of taint your victory?
No, look, that's just bullshit. That's just him. He was screaming his head off when he walked into the arena and kill you, kambosos, and he looked in tremendous shape. But like I touched with Hitchins just before, people will hear him say about certain things, and we've never seen any proof. We've never seen nothing. If that happened to me, it's a proof. But if there was some proof, mysteriously, who's to say that right hand and he took his head off, didn't rip his whatever? That's all bullshit. That's all lies. But I touched on it before. Do people forget I live in Australia? Did I not have to travel from Australia to America, back forth 3 times? And in the midst of doing that, we had the hardest quarantine rules in the world. 2 weeks living in a hotel. He was there, my father. I was there. 2 weeks, no training, just sitting there waiting while he's back to training, feeling good. Then having my wife pregnant, getting told that we've got to get on that plane because of obviously the Triller issues. Going to miss the birth of my kid. All of a sudden, things are going wrong with that. We stayed for the birth of my kid. Beautiful, I have a son. At the exact moment my grandfather passes away, we're going to bury my grandfather, enjoy my son, prepare to go fight the undisputed champ of the world, come back to America and beat this guy in his hometown as a 13-1 underdog. People don't hear that. I don't sit there and parade about it like he does. He parades about his supposed this and that. Be a man, you lost.
He's just a solo.
I beat you.
Hey, George, they misspelled your name on the post out here. They misspelled your name on the post out.
That's cool, man. Like for me, they can disrespect me. I've been disrespected before, but I know where I've been. The fans know where I've been. And I'm a true warrior. Like I was saying before to Richardson, he's so caught up on undefeated, 18, 19 and 0. fuck the zero. I'd rather lose my zero to a guy like Haney or Lomachenko fighting the best of the best, because I know what kind of competitor I am. I'm a true champion. That's what the fans want. That's what the media wants. The zero doesn't matter, but if we get the best fights happening right now, who's going to be the winners? The fans, the media, the boxing, the sport, fighters, because they're going to be wanting to take a chance and fight the best. So that's how I am.
George, question. You share the ring with champions like Lopez, Haney, Lomachenko. How does Richardson Hitchins compare in terms of skill and danger?
It's hard to tell right now because I have not fought him. But from what I've seen, we study him, very much. We see the way he fights. To me, he fights like a guy that, and he said it in our face-off just then, our one-on-one. He fights like a guy that just has to do what he has to do to win the fight. If it means being super boring, so be it. Now, I look at Lopez, Haney, I've seen the second fight, come to fight, and Lomachenko. And again, a guy like myself, we come to fight. I come to give the fans, win, lose or draw, bloodied up, stitches all over my face. I come to give the fans the best fight. And like I said to him, this is your homecoming. Come and make a point. Come and fight. If you're gonna run, yes, we've got some tricks up our sleeves too. We've seen that style before. We know our mistakes. We know how we feel. Now at 140. So yeah, look, we'll see after June 14th. I can make that analysis of where he stands out of that. The only guy that's really fought everybody, and that's George Kambosos.
George, camp, will it be in Australia or here in the
No, I'm
US?
in Montreal. I've already been training out there, part 2 of training camp. But the best thing that's been about this fight, Kambosos usually has a fight and then goes 9 months, 10 months, and then comes back against another big name. But I fought only 6 weeks ago, 12-round fight. Had a 3-month great training camp, and now straight back into it. I'm in shape. I feel good. I'll fight right now. 12 rounds, whatever, no problem. So training camp is in Montreal. Got my whole team with me. Got some fantastic sparring partners, and we're doing everything we can, sacrificing away from my kids, my family, my comfort. And even though I get noticed anywhere in the world and get noticed in Montreal, at least it's not as crazy as being in Australia.
Yeah, George, it's Johnny Boy Boxing at Five. I just got a question. You said earlier that this is your second home. You feel comfortable in New York. Richardson Hitchins says that he's the king of New York. If you beat him, are you the new king of New York and king of Australia?
Well, I'm from New York. You can't give that out.
We've heard that before. That I've heard that in 2021 that we had a king of boxing, king of New York.
Well, you called yourself the emperor.
The emperor's coming back.
The emperor's back.
What's a king to an emperor?
The emperor of New York.
When I beat him, the emperor returns.
Champ, do you still feel that same hunger? Because the last time you were here, you were fighting for all those titles. You've won them. You've made a lot of good money in your career. You still feel that same hunger as the last time you were here in New York?
Yes, that hunger is undeniable. I wouldn't be here. I turned 32 June 14th. I wouldn't be here wasting my time. I've got a good life. I have every belt. I go downstairs in my house. I got all the belts, and my kids get to see them, and people get. No one in Australia has that. I've made a lot of good money. God bless. But for me, it's more than all that. For me, it's that legacy. Coming back and beating this guy and doing it again, and say, you know what, Kambosos stamping in the Hall of Fame. He fought the best. He beat these guys. He did it on his terms, and that's what it is. Catching that feeling. Fighters, especially guys that have been there and done it, and now obviously getting a bit older, they're trying to catch that feeling again, and that's what I'm catching. I feel good. I feel really good. I feel great at this weight. Sharp, very explosive, hitting very hard, and God willing, June 14th is going to be a great victory again for my career.
Kambosos, I like that you mentioned about if Hitchison gets on the bicycle, you guys have a plan for that. Now we just saw William Skull versus Canelo. Speaking of another champion, what advice would you give to Canelo if he fought a guy like Skull to make the fight easier?
Well, look, this is Canelo Alvarez. Who am I to sit there and give advice? Yes, look, he's been undisputed and twice, and look, I feel that I was undisputed. Obviously, politics. Some 50% say yes, 50% say no. But yeah, maybe I was watching Canelo and Danny Jacobs, a couple of days ago, just studying that fight after his recent fight, and that movement and what he did in that fight, and the way he cut the ring off, and just beautiful head movement. That's the Canelo Alvarez. It was a bit of a weird one. It was a weird week. we do it, but again, it's Canelo Alvarez, and who am I to give him any input?
Last question right here.
George, what mental edge do you believe you bring into this fight that Hitchins has never seen before?
I got that championship caliber. I've been there time and time again. I'm a hungry, warrior. That will, that heart to win this fight. For me, I feel that Hitchins, good fighter, great fighter, whatever you want to call it, hasn't been proven yet. He won his championship against another Australian guy, and he hasn't fought the big names. And he can say that he's done this in sparring, and he feels like he's that, and he feels like he's going to be the king and the best in boxing. But you got to show it in the ring, and we'll see how much heart he has. We saw it in the Lemos fight. We see certain glimpses of him, and then we see what style he brings. So, a different kind of fighter, different kind of person. But I'll tell you what, there is two competitive guys, coming to give it their all. New York is in for a treat. The boxing world is in for a treat. So, no disrespect there. This is going to be a hell of a fight. God willing, he comes to fight, and if he doesn't, like I said, we've got our tricks and aces up our sleeves. We learn from our lessons.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I can talk to you guys all day. But I got a flight to get back to Montreal.
Yeah, fair point,
Thank you.
Thanks, George.
Thank you so much.